Fall's always been my favorite time of year to revisit old favorites, and we're going to do some more retro stuff soon, but I figured we'd slow down today and go through my Nintendo Switch collection. It's grown a lot recently, so we'll chat about any spicy new entries as we go, but we're keeping things chill. Let's check out some games, man.
Alright, we're going to start things off with the most recent arrival. And if I sound a little different, it's because I have a lav mic clipped to my shirt, so hopefully the audio comes through okay. We got a lot of games to get through today, so we're going to go at a pretty quick pace. First game is the most recent arrival, Roller Coaster Tycoon Classic, kind of a fusion of the first two Roller Coaster Tycoon games from PC, ported over to the Switch. This ends up being a really solid port. I was pretty skeptical. If you know about old PC games ported to consoles, it doesn't always go so well. Some of the Sims games are pretty jank, as an example, but this is really well done, and a lot of the gripes that people had, looks like it's still in my Switch because I'm playing it right now. A lot of the gripes that people had in the reviews of this game were fixed in patches. So this ends up being a really solid way to play Roller Coaster Tycoon if you're into that. I definitely am. I've been playing it for like 26 years. Unicorn Overlord, a Vanillaware gem. Tactical RPG fans do not want to miss this one. This just came out like a little over a year ago, I think. But Vanillaware has been killing it since the PS2 era with Odin Sphere. They did Dragon's Crown, they did 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, but Unicorn Overlord might be their best game ever. If you're a tactical RPG fan, you don't want to miss this one. And yet another JRPG. That's going to be a recurring theme, by the way. I don't call myself the JRPG trash man for nothing. It's a majority of the stacks here, but Persona 5 Royal is probably the most famous modern JRPG in the lot. I'm about 75 hours through my playthrough now, so I've crested the halfway point, and I'm really enjoying my time with it. Taking a little break, but excited to dive back in and finish it off. If you're a JRPG fan, or you want to know what the best one, generally speaking, is considered to be on the console, it's probably this one. But you could argue it's actually Dragon Quest XI. I've played through this one in its entirety. It took me like 85 hours, and this is the definitive edition. I believe it's the only version available on Switch. I had a fantastic time with this game. The Akira Toriyama art style, RIP, is as good as ever. I mean, this is a fantastic game, and actually a really good starting point into the JRPG genre if you need to open the door there and you haven't gotten into them yet. It's pretty wholesome, but it plays really well, and it sticks to the basics in a way that polishes them, and I think you'll really appreciate that as a first turn-based JRPG if you're just getting into the genre. Astral Chain, this is a Platinum Games classic. You might know Platinum Games from Nier Automata or Bayonetta, but Astral Chain was considered a hidden gem of theirs for a little while until it's such a good game that so many people sung its praises. I don't think it's quite so hidden anymore. If you like action RPGs with really innovative combat systems, this is one you definitely want to check out. It's a fantastic Switch game. Moving on, Atelier Sophie 2. Now, this technically is the second title in the Atelier Sophie trilogy, I think. There's so many of these Atelier games, man. But as far as I know, this is fully playable standalone. You don't need to have played the first one. These are kind of on the cutesy side, but the Atelier games are pretty fun. It's like a light JRPG, you know, more wholesome, more feel-good, cozy, centered around really in-depth crafting systems. So if you like crafting in your RPGs, check out the Atelier games. They're pretty lighthearted, easy to get into. Might be a little too on the cutesy side for me to love it too much, but excited to spend some time with that one. Next up, Bravely Default 2. This was, the first game was a 3DS classic, probably one of the best JRPGs on the 3DS. And this second title, although the art style is a little bit debatable, I guess you could say, a little controversial. Some people love it, some people hate it. I think just in general, if you can get over kind of the pseudo-chibi-esque art style to the characters, the game itself and the story are supposed to be absolutely fantastic. So Bravely Default 2, another solid JRPG on the console. So we're kind of going in alphabetical order here. Brigandine is I would say a hidden gem. This remains a hidden gem. This is another tactical RPG I just fell in love with the art style. I don't know how well you can see that on the camera, but the art style in-game is really interesting. It's really detailed, and it ends up being a really, really strong war simulation, tactical RPG type game. And if you're into tactical RPGs and you want something a little different, something out there that isn't, Fire Emblem, this is or Tactics Ogre, this is another good, more hidden gem pickup that's still of excellent quality if you want to broaden out the tactical RPG library. If you want an ARPG, probably the best one on the console, other than maybe the digital-only Diablo 2 Resurrected. I believe that's what it's called. But Diablo 3 Eternal Collection has all the Diablo 3 content, and this ends up playing really well in handheld. It's smooth as butter, looks fantastic, plays really well. A lot of the online stuff, I think, has kind of reached the end for Diablo 3. I don't know that they're doing new seasons still, but you can still play through the full game, do the end game, and have that addictive ARPG loop in handheld mode. I did a review on this game if you want to check that on the channel, but it plays super well on Switch, so well in fact that I dare say this might be the definitive version of Diablo 3 now. Next up, another tactical RPG, Disgaea 5 Complete. Maybe of the many Disgaea games that are available on Switch, this might be the best one, per reviews at least. My friend is always going on about this game, the Disgaea series in general at least. It's basically a wacky, over-the-top, crazy number simulator with like goofy, slightly inappropriate humor. It's meant to be funny, and it's really, really over the top, but that's kind of the point of Disgaea, is to break the game and make it go crazy and laugh at all the jokes and silliness. And this game is considered one of the best of the lot. There's a lot of other Disgaea games on Switch, but this one is supposed to be one of the best. I bought it for like 10-15 bucks used on Facebook Marketplace, and I'm excited to dive in and see what it's all about. This one's a bit of an oddball. At a glance, it looks it's Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. At a glance, it looks almost like a cutesy slice of life anime girl high school simulator, but you can see the M rating here. This is actually a really intense psychological horror game that apparently is extremely traumatizing. So excited to see what the heck, I don't know if there's any codes in here. Excited to see what this is all about. If you look at the Steam reviews for this game, they're pretty funny. A lot of people are talking about how great the game is and how traumatized they are having played it. So I have no idea. If you've played the game, you know more than I do. But I'm expecting it to be quite the surprise when I do finally get into that one. Here's an excellent game, one that's come down a lot in price, so I highly recommend this now. This is the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster Collection. It's Final Fantasy 1 through 6 with updated HD pixel art, but a lot of quality of life stuff too. Like they improve the gameplay by adding things like speed up features, and I think you can skip random battles and whatnot. So it's like quality of life versions of the first 6 Final Fantasy games, but some of these 4, 5, and 6 in particular are supposed to be some of the greatest JRPGs of all time, with some of the most iconic music in JRPG history. So this is not just a historical gem, but an excellent collection, and it used to be over $100, and people would still recommend it. You can get it for $40 on sale with the reprints now on Amazon. So highly recommend the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster Collection at the new price. Speaking of Final Fantasy, this is the 10 and 10-2 HD Remaster. Listen, if you haven't played through Final Fantasy X, it's such a good game, man. Quite a tearjerker. It's a long journey, heartfelt, great characters, and it's probably going to break you at the end of the game. If you're not in the know already and spoiled, don't look it up. Just play through the game and expect to have your heart ripped out. We're going to cover the code there for the 10-2 there. 10-2, the sequel game, is not as good as 10, but love to have both available here at the very least. And it's kind of a bummer that 10-2 is a code, but Final Fantasy X playable in HD on Switch is still a really good get. Excited to play through that one again for probably the 5th time. Fire Emblem Three Houses, considered by many to be the best, some consider it to be the best modern Fire Emblem game, and definitely the best one available to play on Switch. Not the only one, and not the most recent one, nor is it the best looking graphically, but the gameplay and systems end up not just playing really well, but offering some strong replayability and a lot of good choice and consequence systems. So if you're into tactical RPGs, which I clearly am, this is another tactical JRPG, and so is the next game coming up. But this is probably the one you should get first if you like tactical RPGs and don't mind things like relationship simulation and whatnot, sort of akin to the Persona series. And sticking in the Fire Emblem vein, here's that other one. Fire Emblem Engage is widely hailed as being the second best of the two Fire Emblem games on Switch, but still good. This one is more for the fans of the combat. This throws it back to solid combat, but the story and characters are a little cringe, a little underwhelming, I would say. I tried to pick this game up, and I just was not sucked in by the story and characters, but it graphically looks better than Three Houses, and the gameplay is sharp and tight. If you're into classic Fire Emblem, this is a throwback to that, and there's a lot of flashbacks to old characters in the series, so it's a bit of fan service for Fire Emblem fans. If you want to play it, a Fire Emblem game that just has the best available Fire Emblem combat, get Engage. If you want one with better story, better characters, and better replayability, get Three Houses, or just buy both, dude. Next up, Grandia HD Collection. This is the first 2 games remastered. I believe this is the Hong Kong version, like the East Asian version that does have English. I think it's the only version, or maybe just the cheaper version. I don't exactly remember. But this is a little bit more of a rare game. It's a little harder to get, and it's a little more expensive than some of the others here. But I imported this using PlayAsia at a pretty good price when it was on sale. So this is the first 2 Grandia games remastered for the Switch, playable and handheld. They're all-time classics, and it's really cool to have these available on the console. Pick that up if you're a fan of the classic JRPGs from back in the day. This one is a little controversial. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection. Now, you'll see it's advertising Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3 on the cover, but actually what's included on the cartridge is the original old-school Metal Gear games, and the Metal Gear Solid games, as I understand it, are this 32 gigabyte mandatory download noted on the back. They're codes. That's a bit deceiving by our good friends at Konami here. Kind of a bust for physical collectors, to be honest. This is sort of blasphemous, but I still bought it hook, line, and sinker. It was only $18 on sale, and the ability to play the first 3 Metal Gear Solid games remastered and put handheld on Switch was just too much value for me to pass up, because they're all-time classics, and the ability to play them handheld is just it's too juicy for me. But just be aware, physical collectors, it's a bit of a compromised bundle there. Next up, Monster Hunter Rise. This is a particularly good Monster Hunter game. Supposedly, I haven't jumped into this one yet. I've played World on PC, and people debate whether Monster Hunter Rise or World is the best modern 3D non-handheld. Well, I guess this is Switch, it's handheld, but you get what I'm saying. They used to be like kind of Game Boy-esque, like DS, 3DS type games, the Monster Hunter series, and they've gone to more modern platforms here with a bit more ambitious art style and graphics, and I gotta tell you, these are really fun. I play World on PC. Rise, some consider to be even better, and it does play well on Switch. And World is not available. Monster Hunter World is not available on Switch. So Monster Hunter Rise is the go-to if you want that traditional Monster Hunter, kill the dinos, or kill the monsters, loot them, use the loot to upgrade and craft new weapons and armor, or upgrade it, and then go back out and slay even bigger monsters. This is that classic Monster Hunter loop, available on Switch, and it plays really well. That's the more modern version. There's also the spin-off series, Monster Hunter Stories. This is Monster Hunter Stories 2, Wings of Ruin. This is the better of the two Monster Hunter Stories games on Switch, but there is a bundle that contains Monster Hunter Stories 2 and Monster Hunter Stories 1 together for, I think, less on sale than I paid here, the $23 I paid here. And I don't remember if it's one of them's a code in the box or something, but I kind of wish I had that instead of this. But I'm still happy with this. This is a standalone title as far as I understand it, and this is the better of the two. Really good graphics, but this is more of a turn-based monster collecting version of Monster Hunter set in the same universe. Very different take on Monster Hunter, but one that, as a classic Pokemon fan from back in the day, I still think I'm really going to get a kick out of. Next up is new Pokemon Snap. I bought this because my son really loved the N64 Pokemon Snap. It was the first game that he ever played through to completion on his own. And when I saw there was a new Pokemon Snap, literally called that, on Switch, I snagged that, and I actually gave this to him for his birthday. So this is my son's first Switch game. Loosely, it's mine. But he's able to play through this, and it's a lot of fun. It is a little more complex than the N64 Pokemon Snap game, which is really simple if you've gone back and revisited that. This fleshes it out a bit, adds a lot more Pokemon, a lot more activities, and introduces like a day-night dynamic to everything. It's really interesting, pretty basic, but a good game to rip through with the kids. Really benign in terms of content, and still a lot of fun to mess around with if you like Pokemon. Next up, Nier Automata. This is a game I debated getting on Switch just for, graphics and performance. I've considered rebuying this for the PS4. This is one of the best JRPGs on Switch. I'm going to continue saying that. There's so many good games. You ever look at your own collection and think, man, I have good taste? Maybe that's just me, but another banger here, man. This is an all-time classic. Reviews are incredible. This is a real brain buster here to try and describe, because it's not just an action RPG. This is that, again, classic Platinum Games, but it's hard to describe because at one point it's a shoot 'em up, then it's a action hack and slash, then it's a 2D platformer, then it's a giant boss battle sim. Like, it just goes crazy. It's a bullet hell. Like, it switches genres on the fly mid-fight, and it really keeps you on your toes, but it's really engaging as a result. And the story is really deep and profound and requires multiple playthroughs with different paths in order to understand it all. So tons of value here, as well as an incredible, all-time great JRPG. Not quite an all-time great. This one was in an Eric Landon RPG video, listed as a hidden gem, and I found it on a really good price in a local shop. It's Knights of Azure 2. I think this is more just kind of fan servicey action RPG. I don't really know how I'm going to feel about this one. I have not played it yet. If it's too cheesy, I might just sell it or drop it. But these are the kinds of games, if you're in the collecting space for games, these are the types of games that randomly skyrocket in value and cost like $80 to $100 someday. So I'll probably hang on to it, even if it's not my favorite, in hopes that it spikes in value someday. Not that that's why I collect games, but I already own it. So if it happens to go up and be worth a lot of money, I'll sell it and get a bunch of other stuff to flesh out the collection some more. Octopath Traveler 2. I try to keep this collection fairly curated to my tastes. Obviously, my tastes are mostly JRPGs for the Switch, but of the two Octopath Traveler games, which revolutionized that HD 2D art style, kind of groundbreaking in that sense, this game fixes a lot of the gripes that a lot of people had with the first Octopath Traveler, and ends up being a standalone title that's functionally the better of the two in almost every way. And since I don't have time, probably left in this lifetime, to play through all of these Switch games that I even already own, and I'm still collecting for it, I wanted to just pick the better of the two. I might grab the first one someday too, just to have it in the collection, but of the two, this one's supposed to be best. And this is kind of that retro, revisited HD 2D art style that looks so fantastic on the OLED Switch. or if you have a nice TV. These games are so sick, man. It's not the first HD 2D game that we're going to visit, but it is one of the best. Turn-based, fans of classic turn-based retro JRPGs, you should really check out games like this and the new Star Ocean Second Story. All these HD 2D remasters are really fantastic, and fans of retro RPGs would definitely be into them. This one, Pokemon Legends, is it Arceus? Whatever the god Pokemon is. This is a different twist on the Pokemon formula that I'm excited to dive more into. This is sort of kind of before Pokemon and humans were buds and kind of worked out that humans collect you and battle you in gyms concept. This is kind of more open world exploration, discovering Pokemon in the wild, capturing and battling them type of game, which is a very different twist on that Pokemon formula. I know the new Pokemon Legends game just came out, ZA, I don't know what it's called, but it's set in a city, which is way less appealing to me than like this mountainous landscape of this game here. So I'm not sure. I don't think the performance is particularly good in that new one either. So I'm happy to just play through this one. People talk very highly of it. I love Pokemon. I've grown up with Pokemon. Been playing it for, 25 years. So 30 years at this point. Goodness gracious. And yeah, Pokemon is fantastic. This new twist on the formula should be really engaging to get into. Speaking of twists on the formula, let's talk about Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. This is functionally a remake of Red, Blue, and Yellow. So I want to give it that. There's a lot of nostalgic callbacks for fans of the old anime. If you were a 90s kid that grew up with the Pokemon anime, there's a lot of nostalgic callbacks like Misty and Brock and stuff that you'd recognize from the show, Team Rocket, all that. And it looks fantastic. It's really polished in terms of its art style. I'm sure you can't see on the camera, but it looks really good, right? And it includes the Pokemon Go mobile game catching mechanic instead of traditional wild Pokemon battles, so it makes the random encounters in the wild a little bit more, it feels a little less punishing to get caught by a random battle, we'll say. But I must say that while this game is fantastic as a co-op title, if you have little kids and want to show them the magic of that first generation, this is a great choice. Outside of that, it's so easy that it's brain melting. So unless you want to just kind of revisit it for fun as a casual story walkthrough to check it out, it does look nice, it plays nice. It's a shiny Switch game that with good graphics, first party Switch title, then by all means pick it up. If you want a nice, cozy, smooth walkthrough with very little challenge, pick it up. Otherwise, it's kind of a miss. If you're looking for any sort of challenge whatsoever, you're not going to find it there. And as a result, it was just a little bit of a letdown for me, because I kind of wish there was a difficulty setting that let me grind out the new graphics, but still love that retro first-gen revisitation. Let's look at this Silent Hope Day 1 edition. This is by Marvelous, who's doing the Story of Seasons and stuff nowadays, but this collector's edition, as far as I understand, if I remember correctly, this is more of a Diablo-style action RPG, kind of a loot-based dungeon crawler, with a little bit more of that cutesy art style. But this game comes in this is the cheapest collector's edition you're ever going to find. It's got an art book, a CD, all sorts of goodies in here. And it's $20 on sale, which is just an incredible deal. And the game is fun. And there's little quirks too, as it's a Marvelous game. The animals in the game, like the cows and whatnot, they look like the cows from the Story of Seasons or Harvest Moon games. So it's kind of got some nods to other games in their franchise too, but it is just a fully fleshed out, I think there's 7 playable characters, all with different abilities, and it's an action RPG. It's a dungeon crawler like Diablo, where you grind through the dungeons, you return to a home base, you grind for loot, whatnot. But if you want a really cheap, cool collector's edition for the shelf, it comes with things like an art book and a soundtrack. This is a pretty cool box, and $20, man. Hard to beat that price for a collector's edition. Moving on, Romancing Saga 2, not not a series I'm as familiar with, but this remake of Romancing Saga 2, Revenge of the Seven, I believe it's called, looks really good. The graphics are fantastic, and while Romancing Saga is kind of hit or miss with fans in terms of the generational mechanic where you can't get too attached to characters because you're going to continue advancing through the story as different generations of characters, so things are going to keep resetting. And the stat increases, I think, are random on level up. It's a really bizarre twist on the RPG progression formula, but this is a polished remaster of one of the best games in the series and ends up being a really good entry point, per reviews at least, into the series. So I'm excited to try it out and see what it's all about. I think this is the most painless way to get into Romancing Saga, to see if I'm into it. Let's check these three out together. This is the Rune Factory games. So this is Rune Factory 3 Special, Rune Factory 4 Special, and then Rune Factory 5. You can find all three of these on sale pretty frequently for the like $18 to $25 range. They're kind of cutesy, Harvest Moon-esque, Stardew Valley, if you're familiar with that, Story of Seasons. It's in that same vein. It's done by Marvelous, same people that did the Silent Hope Collector's Edition, but also Story of Seasons now, and a few other franchises. But these are kind of an action RPG fused with the old Harvest Moon formula of building up your farm and harvesting crops and whatnot, and getting to know village people, getting married, all that. As a classic Harvest Moon fan from the PlayStation and N64 games, as well as the Super Nintendo, I love that core farming formula. It was a really addictive loop playing those games as a kid, and I want to like these games. I picked up 3 first for a little bit. It was a little too cutesy for me, and I kind of fell off it. But I think 4 Special is supposed to be the one that people like the most in the series. 5 has some performance issues, I know, but for those that like it, they seem to really like it. So I'm thinking this is where I'm going to find the magic. So starting with this might have been a little bit of a mistake, painted my perspective a little negatively, but I'm really hoping I like these because I have 3 of them. But I'm going to start with 4 Special next and see what I think. The mixture of an action RPG fused with Harvest Moon sounds really, really up my alley. So I'm hoping I love those. Speaking of farming action RPGs, let's talk about Sakuna of Rice and Ruin. This is a classic, another little Marvelous and Xseed published classic here. But this one, you farm rice as your leveling up system, and the action RPG is more of a 2D side-scrolling to my knowledge. But this one is supposed to be absolutely fantastic, more of kind of a indie style feeling, but a really fantastic game. I'm really excited to jump in and give this one a try, as it's supposed to be pretty solid action combat mixed with a surprisingly engaging farming mechanic. Next up, the game that I continue to champion as the very best single-player card battler on any console probably ever. If you're into TCGs or CCGs like Hearthstone, Magic the Gathering, things of that nature, this game is a hidden gem. I will shout it from the top of a mountain until the end of time. The story and characters are cheesy, but the ability to collect and rip booster packs and then flesh out your collection, build decks on the fly in a bunch of different classes, and have combo, control, mid-range, and aggro be available to play within each character class, of which there's like 8. The possibilities feel endless, flexible, and it's really rewarding to somebody who wants to mess around with deck building and just that addictive loop, man, that dopamine spike of ripping booster packs. Look, it even comes with a full-color manual, man. This is a hidden gem. If you like card games at all, like Magic the Gathering, like old school Hearthstone is what this plays like, don't miss this one. It's one of the best games on Switch, and I have a review of this game as well if you're interested in checking out that to learn more about it. Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance. Now, I had in the last Switch collection, I had the original Shin Megami Tensei 5, the OG version, but I gave that to a friend when I was gifted this last holiday season by a family member. Vengeance is like the upgraded version with a new story path that makes the overall story progression more cohesive and updates the systems a little bit. And I think for other platforms, there's upgraded graphical fidelity, but I don't know that they were able to bump it much on Switch. But either way, this is the definitive version of the game now. The original version is totally fine. This version just happens to be a bit better because they tied up some loose ends and streamlined the story experience a bit and added, I think, a new story segment called Vengeance that adds some depth to the overall experience. One of the best RPGs on the console, not even specifically JRPGs, just one of the best RPGs in general. Just know that these are known for being dark and they are known for being hard. But if you're up for that, then absolutely give Shin Megami Tensei 5 a try. Less appealing to the masses, but another JRPG that I could chuck in the collection for cheap, Shining Resonance Refrain. The Shining series has been around for a long time. This is just kind of I think it's an action RPG with, I think this is more just generic, kind of run-of-the-mill action RPG. I think the story and characters and overall experience are probably pretty mid, but as the JRPG trash man, for some reason, I just get off on mid-tier JRPGs. I don't know what sickness afflicted me during the PS2 era, grinding through mediocre JRPGs, but I love stuff like this. I'm excited to rip through it. It's cheesy anime storylines with over-the-top action and dragons and shit, man. I'm excited to see what this is all about. Next up, that HD 2D remake of Second Story R in the Star Ocean series. This is the one I referenced earlier when I was talking about Octopath. Star Ocean is a storied franchise, an absolute classic, and this one looks and plays fantastic. This is a full remake in that HD 2D pixel art style. It has the two story paths that you can go down that merge, and it looks and plays fantastic. This is probably inarguably one of the best JRPGs on Switch now. I've played through the first Departure R, the first Star Ocean game in the series, and I thought it was okay. This one's supposed to be fantastic, so I'm excited to give this one a try. Next up, if you are a fan of the classic Harvest Moon games, Story of Seasons Friends of Mineral Town is a good modern throwback to that era. It is the characters that you recognize, like Potpourri, Anne, Maria, all them. It's all the characters that you would know from the PlayStation 1 Back to Nature Harvest Moon or the N64 Harvest Moon from that era. Same characters with a couple new characters added, but with modern coat of paint, some quality of life features. It plays really well, and I've actually put over 30 hours into this one, and I had a lot of fun with it, man. It comes with a manual, full color. I mean, this is a good title. Another Marvelous game. I didn't realize how much of my money I'd given to Marvelous and Xseed, but sure enough, man, they keep pumping out good games, so I'll keep buying them. Story of Seasons Friends of Mineral Town, of the many, many Story of Seasons games that you can play on modern platforms, PC and Switch specifically, this is probably the best one. Most of them I wouldn't recommend necessarily. This one's a good throwback for those that are fans of the classics. And you know I love me some retro games. Another throwback to the classic, Super Mario Bros. Wonder is a throwback to the classic 2D platformer era of Mario, and it was hailed as being like the best thing since Super Mario Bros. 3 on the NES when it came out. I think that's a little much, personally, but it is fantastic. And if you've just been itching for some classic Mario platforming action, not some of this 3D, the 3D wacky stuff that Mario has been doing these days. If you want to go back to more of the classic era, Super Mario Bros. Wonder is what you're looking for. It's a fantastic game. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think it's quite on the level of games like Super Mario World and Super Mario Bros. 3, the GOATs, if you will. Not quite that good, but still a solid 8.5 out of 10 for me. Here's a series I've never actually played, and as a JRPG fan, a fan of the classics, that's sort of blasphemous. This is Suikoden. Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster. Suikoden 2 being considered by many to be in the short list, the top 5 maybe, of the best JRPGs of all time. This is a remaster of the first 2 games. This also came out within the last year or so. This is still sealed. I haven't gotten into it yet. But the whole gimmick in these games, I believe, is that you can collect like over 100 different heroes for your party. And this is one of very few games that I pre-ordered for Switch. I knew I had to have it when I saw the reviews and saw that they did a really good job porting it. Suikoden 1, I think, is really good. Suikoden 2 is one of the best games of all time. So very excited to dive in here. I know I'm going to love them. I just haven't found the time yet to crack that plastic and get into that. Another all-time classic JRPG, Super Mario RPG, is a remake of the Super Nintendo gem, the beloved classic Super Mario and the Legend of the Seven Stars, which is a pretty expensive Super Nintendo game. It's also one of the very few games that you can't play on the EverDrive cartridges unless you buy the really, really expensive, like $250 one. So this is a full remake in 3D on Switch with like the modern kind of like Mario movie style graphics. It looks fantastic, but it's very faithful to the original in its gameplay and story and whatnot, just spruced up for the modern era and playable handheld. Hard to go wrong with this. This is an absolute treat for those that are fans of the original or just want a good, wholesome entry-level JRPG to get into the genre. This is another one that I'd recommend for newcomers because it's very benign in terms of content. It's funny, but it's very fun and engaging as well. Fun twist on the Mario formula. Here's one that I think I'm going to absolutely love. I can't believe they're remaking this. This is Trails in the Sky, the first chapter. Second chapter is in development right now, and I think is coming out late next year in 2026. If you know about Trails, you know that, or the Legend of Heroes series, you know that this is one of the most storied franchises in JRPG history, with the most rabid fan base you can possibly imagine. People love the story and characters in these games. They're classics. And I've tried to get into the originals multiple times, and it just, I bounced off them here and there for whatever reason. I started to get through the first one on a PS Vita emulator on my phone, actually. The PS Vita Evolution version, I think it's called, with an English patch. This is playable with both languages. So it's playable in English with full voice acting. It's a full remake with the more modern combat style of the newer Trails games, playable on Switch. And the next one's also coming out on the Switch 1. So very excited to now have a modern, easily accessible entry point into this series. Really hoping after they do first and second chapter, they finish it out and do third chapter, and then go and do Trails to Azure and Trails from Zero, whatever the fuck they're called, but the next 2 in the series. I hope they keep going, because those 2 are actually quite expensive. They're very limited releases, and they're aged enough that I think they could use that remake treatment. Really excited to see what they do next. Very excited to get into that game, and I'm so glad it exists as a remake. Finally grabbed Breath of the Wild. Now I continue to bounce off this game for whatever reason, and yes, I know it's one of the best Switch games ever made. I'm very well aware, but for whatever reason, as a die-hard fan of the N64, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask, something about the open world fatigue these days is just getting to me, and I just don't feel all that compelled to figure this one out, or at least I haven't thus far. I know when it clicks, it's going to be one of my favorite Zelda games of all time, maybe one of my favorite games of all time, but as it stands, I continue to bounce off this one, but I recognize it for what it is, and as a Zelda fan, I know when it clicks, it's going to click hard, and I'm going to love it, so it's in the collection. I just have not spent enough time with it yet to really give too much more than that on that one. Trials of Mana is a fantastic action RPG. This is a full remake with modern graphics and controls of Seiken Densetsu 3, which we did not get over here in the West. I believe there is also a more remastered version with like the 2D pixel art available in like the collection of mana, maybe. But this is like a full remake. Cool thing about this game, there's 6 playable characters. You choose 3. One of them is your main hero. And based on which one you pick as your main hero and which 3 you pick in total for your party, the story changes. So there's tons of replayability here. The origin stories and whatnot that you enter the game with are going to be different every time, and they all play very differently from each other. And which 3 you pick changes up your team dynamic considerably, as you can switch on the fly in combat. So it's a really interesting idea for a game. A lot of replayability. I got a little bored with this one. I did feel like it was a little generic, but it's also cheap and short. It's only probably a little over 20 hours to play through the whole game. So I definitely recommend this one. I was just a little burnt out on JRPGs at the time because I had just finished Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition when I jumped into this one immediately afterwards, and I just needed I needed an RPG break. But this is a fantastic game. I can say it's a very high quality. Graphics are great, plays like a dream, super smooth on the Switch, and I highly recommend it. Let's go ahead and talk about Xenoblade. I have all of them. We'll see what order we've got them in here. So starting out, I have played all the way through Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, and I can say definitively that this is one of the very best JRPGs I've ever played. Took me a while to get into it. The combat's a little weird. But once I started thinking about it like playing an MMO combat system, it finally clicked. There's just a bit of waiting around for ability cooldowns and whatnot, and you kind of reposition your character while abilities are on cooldown, then spam them out, sort of like you're playing an MMO. And once that clicks, combat feels great, story and characters are awesome. And this is a very ambitious world to try and put on a console like the Switch. Originally, this was a 3DS game, I think a Wii U title. 2 consoles that, again, were absolutely screaming at the scope of this story and world, but this remaster on Switch looks and plays better. And surprisingly, despite the scale of the world, it's a fantastic experience. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is playable independently from Definitive Edition if you want. They are standalone. In fact, I think this came out, then they released Definitive Edition, if I'm not mistaken. I do have the DLC Torn of the Golden Country for the second game physical here. The DLC extra content is available on the Definitive Edition, it's included. And then for the third game, the extra content is downloadable only, digital only to my knowledge. Of the 3, I think a lot of people consider 3 the best because it ties in a bunch from these 2 games in the story, as well as especially in the post-game DLC content. It ties a bow on the whole thing. But this is, I think, what many consider to be reason enough to get a Switch. In and of itself, the series is so good. If you like open world action RPGs with an incredible story, I really think that this is probably where you should start. Xenoblade is fantastic. I'm really interested to see what Monolith does next. Going into the Switch 2, they're working on something. Just don't know what it is yet. And last but not least of the physical collection is Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Dana or Dana. I'm not actually sure, haven't played through this one. This is a game that looks and plays, I think, a little jank on Switch. It's better on other consoles in terms of graphics and performance, but the game itself is so good. The story, the characters, the music, the world, the game, everything, man. Ys rules, but Ys 8 was the one that finally kicked the series into the mainstream, and for good reason, man. Falcom deserves every cent they made on this one. This is a masterpiece. People love this game. The combat is incredibly fast and fluid, feels fantastic, and some of the music is going to stick in your head for months. This is a game, if you like action RPGs, this is on the short list of the ones you need to have.